welcome to the PowerPlay Series. I'm Darren Peters, founder and managing partner of the Peter Damon Group, and I'm joined here by my colleague and co-host, Cericia Nelson.
Hey, everybody.
Great, we got a great show in store for you today, so why don't we go ahead and get started. Today's guest is Ryan Wilson. He's a co-founder and CEO of TGS Holdings, which is a consumer lifestyle and hospitality company based in Atlanta, Georgia. The company's holdings consist of the Gathering Spot, a private membership club, and A3C, a music, technology, and film conference and festival. I'm also proud to say I'm a founding member of the DC Gathering Spot.
You just had to brag, didn't you?
Thank you.
He did. Well, yes, we're so elated to have you with us today, Ryan. And so we're just going to jump right into it. You doing okay?
I'm doing okay. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Awesome. So we know that the Gathering Spot has quickly become a really vital collaborative venue connecting entrepreneurs, artists, and professionals in Atlanta and now in DC. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And the A3C Festival is celebrating its 17th anniversary as an important cultural event. So Ryan, we're grateful to have you here to talk about your business endeavors and how your companies are making a mark on the hospitality and entertainment industries, both in, I guess, now in DC and in Atlanta. So welcome to the series. We want to know more. Are you ready?
Let's do it. I'm excited to be here. I appreciate the invitation.
All right. Well, let's get into it.
Okay, Ryan. Now, you're a graduate of Georgetown University and Georgetown University Law Center. So can you tell us a little bit about how your background led you to create the Gathering Spot and some of your other holdings?
Sure. So I'll start off by saying I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, and growing up, I had no anticipation of ever becoming an entrepreneur. My goal was to be an attorney. And so it didn't really matter when you asked me. If you would have asked me at age 5 or age 15, I would have told you that law was the thing for me. And I thought that because when I looked at folks inside of the community that I really looked up to, many of them had law degrees. Mm-hmm. That took me to leave Atlanta and go to Washington, D.C. And while I was an undergrad, I was a government sociology double major and did a lot of community organizing and diversity and inclusion based work that I, again, thought was going to be good preparation to become an attorney. Things changed, though, between 1L and 2L when I got to law school. And to make a long story short, it was the same summer as the Trayvon Martin case. George Zimmerman, as we all remember, was acquitted of Trayvon Martin's murder. And some of the friends that I had been doing some of the organizing work with in undergrad sent me an email that said, hey, what are we going to do in response? And I responded to that email with the idea to build a new type of private club. Well, really, as I saw then and continue to see now, as a community, right, that could really work together to address that issue. And then I thought really anything else that we wanted to go and tackle. So that was the summer of 2013. I have been working on TGS in some form or fashion ever since the first moment that I wrote back to my friends with just an idea.
Nice. So now, who exactly is is it TGS or TGS Holdings?
So the holding company really just explains or helps to connect what we see initially now as two different businesses. So the first one is the Gathering Spot. TGS is a private membership club. There's kind of two ways to understand the Gathering Spot. The first way is through space. So we have event space, restaurant and bar, and workspace. But the more important way, and again, going back to my start in this, all about people, right? About the community that calls the club home. The second business, though, that we acquired was A3C. So it exists now as the world's largest music conference, hip hop music conference and festival in the world. And so it's been based in Atlanta now this will be its 17th year.
Wow. Okay.
And I know, Cericia, you're going to talk a little bit more about this A3C festival. Mm-hmm. But Ryan, tell us a little bit, because I know the Gathering Spot is expanding to, a number of other cities. So can you talk a little bit about some of the other cities you're targeting?
Yeah, so I mean, we're really proud that Atlanta was the first place that we built a club in. So that club opened in 2016. But what we learned is that over time, the things that we were trying to address were really not Atlanta-specific problems that there were really things that we thought it happened in other cities as well. Again, this need to have context to meet people.
Mhm.
I had lived in DC for 7.5, almost 8 years, along with my business partner who knew the city well. And so we thought that DC was a good second opportunity. We're at the point now, though, in the business where we're close to opening another club in Los Angeles. We're under construction there, and then have communities in 5 other cities throughout the country where we will eventually build clubs. And so those cities are New York, Detroit, Chicago, Houston, and Charlotte, where there are active members of the club. And again, the long term ambition is to build physical spaces there as well.
That's awesome. I've actually been to the Gathering Spot in Atlanta. I went in 2017.
Early days.
Yes, the early days. It's a beautiful spot. My son was a student at Morehouse, and he actually had some other opportunities related to the entertainment biz while he was a student at the Gathering Spot. So I love it.
Awesome.
It's great. Which leads me to my next question. And in the last decade, most of us are aware how the state of Georgia has really kind of had this uptick or an explosion, if you will, kind of in the film, music, and entertainment sectors, right? So how do you see maybe even the Gathering Spot, but definitely A3C, the festival, how do they fit into that scene, particularly in Atlanta? I mean, obviously in LA, that's a natural connection. Yeah. But tell me about how you guys see yourselves as a contributor in that Atlanta scene.
So I'll start off by saying I think Atlanta is one of the more important cities in the country right now, and there are a lot of reasons for that. But I think what you're finding happening at the same time in Atlanta is the growth of a lot of different industries that ordinarily, and if you look at other markets, do not have the closest relationship in a way that you find in Atlanta. So you have I think it's the third highest concentration of Fortune 500 headquarters in Atlanta. So big business here. You have small businesses, a ton of entrepreneurs and a legitimate startup community, a network of colleges and universities, Morehouse and other great institutions that are here. And then the most important piece that really makes the city different is a creative community that allows us to take any of the things that are being built in those other communities and export it all over the world. I think Atlanta's largest export is our culture at this point. And so the way that we play in that is we sit right at the intersection, again, of a bunch of different industries and people that are working on the best ways to really share all the different things that are being built. So the youngest member at TGS is 21. The oldest is 89.
Wow.
We have been helpful in having different convenings over time that ordinarily you would not again see those folks in shared space.
Right.
TGS is the home of your favorite politician and your favorite artist. And traditionally, you would not find folks from just even different industries in that way sharing space really anywhere.
So you may have a politician there with a rapper. Easily.
Legitimately,
happens, right?
at this
all
the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's grown to a point where the club, fortunately, is important, right, in a lot of different communities, certainly from an industry perspective. And again, what that allows for us to do is to say, well, what is it like when the startup community is able to meet the creative community? What things can we do when the two industries that are really making the city really, really special right now, when they start to collaborate more, right? Can we infuse some of the culture and creativity into the startup ecosystem? What happens when we do that? And can we help to get these businesses to scale? Those are the sort of questions that we're asking inside of TGS every day. And again, fortunately, now almost 6 years later, there are a lot of different examples where folks have met people or been introduced to ideas that have gone on, I think, to be helpful.
So talk a little bit about the festival too. So 17 years in, so your company acquired the festival. Tell us a little about that, because we know the Gathering Spot is pretty familiar to many now, but tell us a little about the festival.
So A3C is an Atlanta institution. It's been here again now for a couple, almost close to 2 decades. And what you see happen there, again, and why we were interested in the business, is that it is another convening and another opportunity for community building. You see folks from all over the country come to really meet one another, where the roots of the experience have been music. We've expanded that foundation to now look at the intersection of music, tech, film, and culture broadly. And so every year we produce A3C every October. Every year it is an excellent a time for folks to come together to do many of the things that you would see happen at TGS on a day-to-day basis. This is a concentrated time to be able to kind of get some of that experience.
Nice, nice, nice. I would love to check the festival out. Sounds like
Please.
a really big deal in Atlanta. So if
Yeah, me too. And
so if you're a musician or a tech person, is that the place to be?
I would say so at this point. You'll find investors there as much as you'll find A&Rs and folks that are looking for new artists. So if you look at the history of A3C, many of the artists that are popular now, they have performed at an A3C stage at some point. So Kendrick Lamar before Kendrick Lamar, Lizzo before Lizzo, Megan Thee Stallion before Megan Thee Stallion. The list really goes on and on in terms of the number of artists that have been a part of the experience that have gone on to be household names.
Yeah, and Cerisi, I know you got, kids that's interested in that
I
area.
do. Yes.
I have two kids too who are budding, A&R type execs or trying to be business entertainment folks. So we're gonna have to have them check out that A3C Festival.
Definitely, definitely. I might throw in a little T and some J's and come down too.
Come on down.
Okay. So you've been quoted, Ryan, as saying that your goal isn't to be self-made. I got to read this because the concept, of being self-made is sort of a myth, right? But instead that you aspire to be community made. So talk to us about how your community has lifted you up, supported you, and been a part of your journey thus far.
Oh, we probably don't have enough time for me to fully answer this question. I'll just say, look, I started this journey when I was 24 years old when we opened the first gathering spot, and we really did not know what exactly we were doing at all, right? But it has been at this point thousands of people that have decided that they would believe in again this very simple idea that we should build a context to know one another. We are only examples of businesses that the community really makes possible. All of the events that are hosted, the just general attendance at the club day to day, that is made up of a lot of really, really good people that have decided to believe in us. And that's why I don't believe in the concept of being self-made. Everybody has help from somebody, and I think it's important to celebrate those folks along the way and tell the importance that they've had in the journey. And so in our case, I can't say it enough, just how grateful we are for people that have decided to be a part of everything connected to the gathering spot.
Well, Darren and I definitely ascribe to people helping people, and we know that we wouldn't be where we are without our community.
Great. So, Reese, I think your question and Ryan, your comment kind of is a good segue into my next question. And Ryan, what do you believe makes a good mentor for minority-owned businesses, and how can we avoid over mentoring or under resourcing their development?
I think we avoid the over mentored, under resourced dynamic by focusing on the possibility that these businesses can have in our community. I think sometimes at the starting point we believe that, or at least sometimes explicitly, other times implicitly, but we suggest that the businesses can't get to scale and can't be meaningful contributions to our community broadly. I think we have to start the conversation believing that these companies are as capable as being as successful as anything else that we see out there. And when you start from that point, I think you start to make different decisions about what happens next. So I'm a big believer in that we have to speak about this plainly. If we don't, you run the risk again of going down a path where there's a ton of conversation about what the business could, should, or maybe do, and not what we really expect it to do. And I think that that's a different way of approaching the problem.
Agreed, definitely.
Well, raising capital is always, a burden and a struggle for small businesses. And I'm sure in your pursuit to raise capital, you may have faced several hurdles before successfully securing funding. What's your best advice for other entrepreneurs seeking to do the same?
So I think that you said it. I mean, it's a tough process really for anybody, but just be prepared for no. I mean, we were told no 97 straight times. We counted because it was it was starting to become something extremely painful for us. But what we were telling ourselves during that whole time, and I firmly do believe this, is that if you're doing something disruptive, right, it really shouldn't be understood easily by the folks that you're talking to, and that's okay, right? You're looking for the best partner to be a part of the business, not really just any partner. So know that as people are telling you no, that isn't always a reason to quit or to think that the thing that you're doing isn't going to be successful.
Right.
I actually believe that sometimes you actually are seeing something in the market that other folks can't see, and that's why you should press forward. So um, keep going, no matter what's happening. If you believe that the idea is something that needs to exist in the world, keep pursuing that. We need more businesses and more entrepreneurs to take that path.
I love that. He said something about being disruptive. I love that, right? And sometimes you're right. Your vision isn't always going to be easily grasped. But again, when you're trying to disrupt the culture and do something meaningful, a lot of times you're right. It's going to take a little while. So kudos to you for sticking with it. And we appreciate that. So no, no secret that we've been in a pandemic, right? So I can imagine, Ryan, that a pandemic would make creativity and collaboration just a little bit more challenging. Can you tell us how you guys have managed to maneuver during and around the pandemic and the challenges that it has presented?
Sure. I mean, what a year plus we've all been enduring together. But I think the thing that we tried to remind ourselves throughout this entire really tough time was that the reason why we started to do this was not connected to space or to place, but was really connected to people, right? And so while the setting might have to change given our current circumstances, the why, our mission, that could not change. And so that's how I've pursued the work during this whole time, really trying to make sure that I stayed wedded to why we started this journey, and not so much that it was difficult, right? Because I mean that I couldn't
Yeah,
change that, but I
right.
could change how we approach it each day. And so I chose to just again remember why I've been getting up for a lot of mornings, gratefully at this point, to be able to do this work, and that no pandemic was going to change that if I could help it.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're coming to near the end of our conversation, and we ask a question of each of our guests, the same question. So we want to know if you had one power play that you could make to change an issue or a problem that can make our world better, what would it be? And you can't say the gathering spot.
No, so I was not going to say the gathering spot. I'm really really passionate about making sure that everybody has access to meaningful capital to grow and scale companies. And so there are a number of different platforms that have been created, but I don't think that we're anywhere close to there yet.
Yeah,
There's still, if you look at the stats, some pretty problematic and disproportionate levels of funding that exist, particularly for Black entrepreneurs. And so I would work in that space, and if I had a magic power, it would be to properly equip small business owners to be able to have the resources that they need to scale. So many things are connected to that. I mean, you get to talk about communities in an entirely different way when businesses are growing and have the opportunity to employ people.
listen, you're not alone in that. Darren, do you sense a theme in some of our guest power players in terms of capital and
Oh
talking about
yeah,
raising?
definitely.
Yeah, yeah. So you're definitely not alone in that sense, and it's definitely needed. And so we're not to put you on the spot per se, but we're expecting you maybe to make a dent in that issue.
You have my word. I'm going to try. Right? There's no way that I'm not going to make an effort to try to disrupt this. We've got a lot of good ideas that need to get out there, and,
That
and
need
so we can't stop until that happens.
Exactly. And we believe in you for sure. We do.
Thank you. I appreciate this platform, and I appreciate the work that y'all are doing to tell stories, right, and to have meaningful conversation. I think sometimes we take that lightly in our community, but it's not light work at all. It's important, and it's the thing that I think is the catalyst a lot of times for helping folks to realize whatever it is that they're working on. So thank you genuinely for having me on.
Absolutely. You keep doing what you're doing. When I mentioned earlier that I had been to the Gathering Spot, I brought a group of college students from Philander Smith College in Little Rock, and for them to see your business and to see you. I think you were actually there that evening to see you. They saw themselves in what is possible, and we need more of that. And we definitely need to connect and expose our young people to that. So thank you for what you're doing. So how do we keep up with you on social media? We want to know when you open your next gathering spot, LA, Vegas.
So
And
you can find us online.
We want to keep up with the festival too.
So A3Festival.com, or you can visit us at thegatheringspot.club or on social media at The Gathering Spot. So that's the best way to keep in contact with us. And we're active on all of those platforms. So please reach out.
Good deal. Thank you.
Great. Look, another powerful show. We want to once again thank our guest, Ryan Wilson, for stopping by the PowerPlay Series. And we want to wish you continued success, Ryan. If you're ever in one of the cities Ryan mentioned, make sure you check out the Gathering Spot. And if you can, put attending the A3C Festival on your list of things to do. We're sure you won't be disappointed. The PowerPlay Series is a monthly discussion of substantive, new, and emerging ideas with power players who are shaping our future with their dynamic and innovative leadership. You can catch the series on the Peter Damon Group social media platforms at Peter Damon Group on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So until next time, thank you for joining us and keep it moving forward.